What goes down must come up. Industrial production in Poland. Quarter 3 results and the new rules on the market. Warsaw Stock Exchange in the spotlight. There is power, there is technology, but is there a business in green cars? Welcome back to Poland, Business Poland. I'm your host Marek Teichman, and today we got numbers for you. We got Q3 results of the Polish companies, but we start with the industrial production. It is decreasing, but slower. It is promising, but the real problems lay ahead.
Super Farmer. It's the name of a board game which fuels production. In this firm, one of Poland's best-known game manufacturers. This game Super Farmer was invented during World War II by a Polish mathematics professor, Karol Borsuk. This fall, Grana produced 5 more games than last year. Despite the downturn in Ukraine and Hungary, new clients in Australia, New Zealand, and Japan are saving them. We try to adjust the products to certain markets, and in these new markets, consumers are looking for something a little cheaper than Western products. Poland's Central Stats Office also sees a better situation for Polish producers. After a drop of 1.3% in September, industrial production in October fell year-to-year only 1.2% less than analysts expected. Month-to-month production in October rose around 2%. This economist's forecast concerning the October rise was right on. On one hand, we see increased demand for Polish production in foreign markets. It's a slow increase, but it's still an increase. On the other hand, companies expect a better future. That's why they're increasing production to build up their inventories. The most dramatic increase in production took place last month with computers, electronics, paper products, as well as food and drinks. The most that companies produced were in the machine sector. The biggest drops were in coal production, machine production, metal mining, and refining. In my opinion, in November and December, production will increase year on year. Maybe not much, but still this will be a factor which could lead to a sustained positive growth for the whole year. And he's not alone in his belief of growth for Poland. The OECD just raised Poland's GDP forecast for 2009 from minus 0.4% this year to plus 1.4%. In 2010, Polish economy is supposed to grow by 2.5%. And if those forecasts turn out to be right, Polish public debt to GDP ratio shouldn't exceed the 55% that's set under law. When it breaches this level, the next year's budget has to be a lower one. There's no longer a risk that Poland will breach the 55% debt to GDP ratio. However, what might turn out to be a threat for economic growth is strengthening the zloty. Stronger currency is always a risk for exporters as it decreases their competitiveness abroad. This man, whose company manufactures ship equipment, sells part of his production abroad. Even though he hedges against currency risk in the short term, he's afraid of the effects of long-term fluctuations. In the long term, recent movements on the Polish zloty will be a threat, not only for us, but for the entire Polish economy. Mr. Stipa wants to prepare his company for such a threat by cutting costs and modernizing now. Some analysts claim that other Polish companies should follow this example, but on the other hand, cutting costs may mean further rises in unemployment and a threat for GDP growth as well.
This week, Polish government had its 2 years anniversary. How did it perform? How did it help businesses? With that question, I turn to Jan Cieński from Financial Times. Hello. So,
Hi.
What is your opinion about the activity of the Polish government?
I think the Polish government came in with making an awful lot of promises about dealing with some of the issues that have been bothering business for many, many years in Poland. The very high levels of red tape, the bureaucracy, difficulty in getting permits. What they have made some progress on is on the infrastructure. They haven't actually built that many new roads, but they've cut away a lot of the roadblocks that were preventing the building program in the past.
And what about dealing with the fiscal policy and public finances?
The problem is next year, the fiscal picture. The The deficit, the general government deficit will be probably close to 7% of GDP, and public debt will start to approach 55% of GDP. So it'll be very, very difficult for the government to meet those targets. What they're hoping to do is to launch a very ambitious privatization program, selling about $14 or $15 billion worth of state property in order to bring those numbers down to more controllable levels. It's the most ambitious privatization program since the transformation from communism in '89, and it's unclear whether that'll actually be able to take place.
Right now, some more numbers. We got Q3 results, how some key companies performed and how the market reacted on it. With that, we turn to our market reporter, Jan Niedziałek.
It was mostly a flat week here in Warsaw, with the blue chip WIG20 index declining by mere 0.4% after the end of quarterly reports season. Most of the numbers were lower than a year ago, but still some major companies managed to beat the estimates, including PKO BP, the largest Polish bank by assets, posted net profit which fell by 30% year-on-year, but still came 13% above the estimates, thanks to higher fees and lower provisions for non-performing loans. PKO BP, however, declined this week on the market by more than 1%, as it has already jumped by more than 5% ahead of the earnings. PKO BP followed other banks like PKO SA and BZWBK, also reporting an upbeat results. And that's it from the Warsaw Stock Exchange. I'm Jan Niedziałek.
Thanks, Jan. But that's not all about Warsaw Stock Exchange and the companies listed there. This week, government presented the new idea of keeping influence on some key strategical companies, including the ones listed on the market. Here is the story.
The rules concerning state control over certain strategic Polish companies will change, but the Treasury won't give up control completely. The Polish government was criticized by the European Union for the so-called golden veto rule, which allows the government to make crucial decisions in as many as 13 of Poland's largest and most influential companies, even those that are publicly listed. The EU even said that the list was too broad, and the golden veto broke EU rules guaranteeing free flow of capital. The list included some of the country's heaviest hitters: gas company PGNiG, oil refiner and retailers Lotos and Orlen, electricity company PGE, and rail operator PKP, most of which are traded on the Warsaw Stock Exchange, and companies where the Treasury isn't the majority stakeholder. But because of the golden veto, the state keeps its deciding vote. The European Commission filed a lawsuit with the European Court of Justice, so Poland's government decided to change the rules. According to a new draft bill, the old long list of companies will go away, to be replaced with more specific infrastructure types deemed by the government of Poland to be critical to national security. The plan is to intervene only if the so-called critical infrastructure becomes endangered. The Treasury will be able to block company disposal, divesting assets, or even blocking financial plans, which would endanger the function of critical infrastructure. The solution ensures national security and was created in cooperation with Brussels. Some experts praise the solution, even though they admit the Treasury still maintains large power over the companies, as it will be able to intervene in companies where it doesn't even own shares. In this case, the state intervention can be really massive, and national interest may be put above economic interest. But in this situation, I can live with it. But Poland wasn't the only EU country to have the golden veto rule. The European Commission also convinced the French to give up their privileges over the company Elf. The Commission also warned Germany over Volkswagen. The Polish government hopes the new rules will be accepted by the European Commission and they'll get the Commission's approval. But so-called critical infrastructure also includes energy companies, such as recently privatized giants PGE and Enea. The state oversight bothers investors who were unaware that even though they bought into shares of a private or minority state-owned companies, that the state would retain full veto power in regard to management decisions. The philosophy of a stock exchange conflicts with the philosophy of a state that wants to keep clear control over companies and at the same time get money from privatizing them on the stock exchange. It raises controversy. If the Commission finds that the boundaries of state intervention have not been crossed, then it will likely withdraw the pending lawsuit against Poland in the European Court of Justice. If the new rules are approved, The bill will go into force on April 10, 2010.
What you see over here are the sparks of innovation in the Polish economy. Here is the first electric charging station in Warsaw. Here is the first electric car produced in Poland. Business of future? Yes, because not a big business right now, not a big business for which electric companies and the car producing companies are hoping for.
On Tuesday this week, this man, the marketing director of the first Polish electric car manufacturer, set out for the Warsaw City Center for the unveiling of the country's first charging point for electric vehicles.
Wyobrażałem sobie, że ten słupek będzie nieco bardziej uniwersalny.
I imagined this charging station would be a bit more versatile with the standard electrical socket. It's not, but I guess it's not a huge problem. The most important thing is that Poland got its first charging point.
Się pojawił w Polsce.
This car is called the Revolt, and it's made by Impact Automotive Technologies here in Poland. But the car currently can't be charged at the new station since it uses a standard AC outlet. This particular station was created jointly by RWE, Greenstream, and the city of Warsaw, and uses a different plug, one that's used internationally. The driver will plug in the car like this. Part of the cable carries power, and the other part transfers car information, so the driver can be automatically billed when their car is charged up. Although from now until June 2010, vehicles can be recharged for free. By the year's end, there are 30 more of these points set to be installed in Warsaw, and by next summer, 130 are planned to be available. By 2025, a total of 310 electric auto charging stations are planned to be in service countrywide.
Ten projekt jest projektem stricte czysto naukowym.
For us, this project is strictly scientific, not commercial, not earning income. It's 100% funded by the European Union. Only this first charging station you see here is funded by RWE, as it's more expensive than the other ones that will be constructed in Poland.
Niż słupki, które będą wykonywane w Polsce.
Greenstream is the company that won 20 million zloty from EU funds to promote the use of renewable electric energy. In Poland, it will be spent to install the technology in some of the bigger cities like Warsaw, Kraków, Katowice, Gdańsk, and Mielec. 20 electric cars are set to test the charging infrastructure. RWE Poland itself will provide 5 of them at their own cost to test the system and further develop it.
Warszawa naprawdę jest w takiej czołówce.
Really, I think Warsaw is at the forefront of this project among the European cities.
Zaczynają ten projekt.
To compare, 500 of the same points are set to be installed in Berlin, but by the end of 2010. A similar plan is in the works for Paris and London. In France, the post office has even ordered 4,000 electric vehicles. RWE in Poland plans on buying a Fiat Microvet soon at the cost of 40,000 euros each. Besides the Revolt, this is probably going to be among the first electric cars in Warsaw.
The project is now for next couple of months. We will just observe the cars, measure the cars, and calculate the efficiency and the final business case of the project.
Currently, RWE is unwilling to reveal their initial investment costs, although it is known how much a driver can expect to pay. To travel 100 kilometers with a small gas-burning car, expect to pay €6, and for the electronic equivalent, just under €1.
That's it for Business Poland this week. I'm your host, Marek Teichmann. Join us next week to see what's hot and what's not in the Polish economy. Meanwhile, stay tuned to CNBC.